So I think it's time we need to change this wheel now. Yeah, that split really is not repairable whatsoever. I've managed to source a new wheel, or a second-hand wheel at least, in the right colour, which helps. First thing to do is get this one off, and then we can go and take it over to our tyre changer. And the original tyre actually is a new one and hasn't sustained any damage, so we'll be able to pop that one onto the new rim, and that'll be one more job sorted. First thing, let's get this wheel off. So as if by magic, we've transported ourselves to our other tiny little workshop. This is a sneak preview of another little project Fireblade that we'll be working on soon enough. Bless her, she's in bits at the moment. Lots of work required, engine work, body work, all sorts of stuff, but that's going to be good fun. I'll be sharing that with you soon. In the meantime, the reason I'm here is that you can see some little holes in the floor, and that's because my wheel changing kit, which is all manual, lives there. It's in the way because you can imagine space is at a bit of a premium, so I can't always leave it there as I don't do that many tyre changes. So yeah, I've got a couple of bikes out the way, and now we'll go and bolt this thing into place. Ta-da! As if by magic, there it is. So let's crack on. One tyre off a very broken wheel, and hopefully, as if by magic, ta-da! And there she is, there's the new tyre on. Yeah, so a couple of things. Obviously need to get this off in a minute and finish it, but essentially things to look out for if you're changing it on your own. Try and make sure that if there are any markings on there that relate to the heavy part of the tyre, that you put them either opposite or next to the valve, depending on the tyre and the colour markings, but there's loads of information about that online. Oddly enough, no tyre markings on this one, so I've put a new valve in and basically put the tyre in the same position relative to the valve where it was before. I'll then go ahead and get rid of these weights and rebalance it. There are schools of thought, people saying that you don't, for a road wheel, really need to balance the rear wheel. It's the front that does most of the braking and the steering, etc. But yeah, I mean, each to their own. I always do my fronts and I sometimes do the rears. Yeah, now the only thing is now, like a Wally, I've realised that my bead breaker, my compressor extension to blow the tyre up is back at the other workshop, so I can't actually pop the beads and get this thing seated properly. So that's about all we can do for a minute, but at least the hard work's done. It's quite difficult doing this with tyre irons and a manual changer like so. It is possible. I do them on occasion, but it's not the sort of thing you'd want to do all the time, to be honest. Anyway, that's better, so hopefully we'll be able to get this back on the bike real soon. Just a couple of things if you are doing powder coated wheels, especially most sort of bike wheels and stuff. This is a nylon bar. It's a basically you remove it with this end, and essentially this is the end that rolls it back over the wheel. And just make sure, because these ones have got nylon parts on, so they don't scuff the paintwork. If you use just a normal tyre iron or the metal sided parts for car wheels, you probably will end up damaging your paintwork. The other thing as well is I would advise seriously to use proper tyre soap. Yes, I know there'll be people out there going, oh, I've used Fairy Liquid for years and all the rest of it, and yep, so have I in the past, to be honest. Only tiny amounts, and it's not advisable because, of course, once it gets wet, the Fairy Liquid or Dawn or whatever sort of dishwashing soap will actually sort of become soapy again, and the tyre can slip around the rim. Not such an issue as it used to be, I suppose, because most tubeless tyres now are in there, so you're not going to pull it away from the valve or anything, but you don't really want the tyre creeping around. It affects braking, handling, and ultimately, of course, if the tyre does start creeping, it'll affect the balance of the wheel as well. So just a couple of thoughts there. Also, I've got protectors for the rim should I ever need to get in there with tyre irons. Yeah, always good. And a little block of timber I always use, because when you get sort of 3/4 around the rim, you can find that the tyre really starts getting quite tight, especially if you're doing it manually. And the more you try and work the tyre on around the rim there, the more it starts to lift around the other side, so you need to obviously stop that. So just quickly, whilst I'm rambling on, this is the split. This is the old wheel. Really quite horrible, as you can see. Bit of a gouge there, so I think it's quite an impact. There she is, look. As I say, I didn't even know about this until the bike arrived. It was a bit naughty that they didn't show it in the photos or mention it. I'm still trying to get hold of them about that at the moment, actually. But anyway, in the meantime, there's the tyre on the new wheel, if you'll focus. So yeah, so we're just waiting till probably tomorrow now, so I can break the bead and break the bead, to reseat the bead, and then we'll get it back on the bike. Just one more thing before I forget. I've measured the brake discs. They're both very similar thickness, so I'm not going to worry about changing. Going to the trouble of changing the brake discs. Extra work, and you are really supposed to change the disc bolts because they do stretch with time, of course, when they're torqued up. But within a few miles, the old pads will bed into the new disc that's already on this wheel. So I'm not too worried about that. That will all sort itself out within a few miles. Okay, thank you for watching. So this is a little bit Heath Robinson, but it's worked perfectly well. We've just hooked up the emergency compressor in the back of the car, yeah, we've managed to pop both of the beads in the car. So that saved us a journey, because we can go back and actually just pump it up back at the other place now and get the tyre on once it's balanced. So good news. So the wheel's nicely balanced up now. Didn't need much weight, actually, in fact less than that was on there before, which is good. This is just an ABBA sort of home type wheel balancer. Very useful though, does the job for me. Simple enough to use, and yeah, there we go. So she's on, and all we need to do now is get her back on the bike. So we're back at Retro Resto's Central now. There's the wheel, all inflated, balanced, good to go back on. But of course, this is always the perfect opportunity to do things like clean and re-grease the axle parts, and also get in and give the bike a good clean inside. You can never really get in properly when the wheel's on, so this is the perfect opportunity while she's stripped down to get in there and give her a bit of a degrease. So that's the first job. Much better. There we go, bit cleaner now. So it'll be hopefully a little while before we have to get back into here. The chain's new anyway, so let's go ahead and clean up and re-grease the axle over there and the various parts, the spacers and stuff, and then we can get her back in. Just thought I'd show you the axle components real quick. We've got the chain adjuster blocks sort of here and here, just been given a bit of a wipe down. Also, it's quite nice if you get a chance then just to wipe off the grime, bit of WD-40 or whatever, just to get all the old grease and oil off, and then that's ready for another smear of a light smear of grease just before reassembly. I don't tend to come apart that often, and quite often, especially if you go to a tyre shop, they'll have the tyre off and you know, change that for you, and that's all fine, but no one actually really has the time to strip it down and maintain it properly. So this is a perfect opportunity to get ahead and do little jobs like that. Finally, she's all back together. So we've cleaned, degreased and re-greased all the axle components, got the wheel replaced, changed the tyre over, of course. Yeah, balanced it all up, and then on this side we also took the opportunity to have a good clean inside. The irony is, of course, you can't really even see it now, but it's all done. The pads have also been sort of cleaned up, re-greased on the sliders, all that sort of stuff. So yep, she's all ready to go. Just needs bedding in now. The brakes work perfectly well. Happy days. So that's the structural stuff done in terms of, you know, the main rolling chassis components. So the next stage is going to be working on the electrics, getting the thing running and getting the rest of the body panels together. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and follow the rest of the project with me. Thank you.